Did you know that nearly $3.7 billion was spent on lobbying in the US in just 1 year? That's right. Lobbying is a massive industry that shapes the laws we live by, yet many people don't understand how it really works. Most folks think of lobbyists as shady characters working behind closed doors, but the truth is far more complex. Lobbying isn't just about corporations pushing their agendas. It's a web of influence that reaches into our daily lives, impacting everything from healthcare to environmental policies. In fact, 75% of all lobbying efforts focus on just a handful of issues that affect you and me directly. So, why is lobbying everywhere? How do lobbyists work their magic? In this video, we will dive deep into the strategies that drive political lobbying. We'll uncover how corporations write laws, the tricks behind fake grassroots movements, and the surprising connections between lobbyists and lawmakers. By the end, you'll see the political landscape in a whole new light. Are you ready to peel back the layers and discover what's really happening in the world of politics? Let's get started. Chapter 1: The Hidden Web of Influence. What lobbying really is. Lobbying isn't just politicians shaking hands behind closed doors, it's way more than that. It's a system deeply woven into the fabric of politics, happening right in front of us. According to the Center for Responsive Politics, over $3.7 billion was spent on lobbying in the US in 2021. That's not a small number. What's fascinating is that lobbying influences everything from tax policies to healthcare reform, and it happens at every level of government. You might think of lobbyists as people who just push for big corporations, but lobbying groups are diverse. From environmental groups to labor unions, many organizations have lobbyists working for them. It's not just about shady deals, it's about access. A 2019 report found that nearly 80% of top lobbyists had prior government experience, meaning they know exactly who to talk to and when. The key strategy? Building relationships. Lobbyists don't walk into a senator's office and demand a new law. They work slowly, over time, gaining trust. They host events, fundraisers, and even offer expert advice on issues. Lobbying groups often act like consultants, providing politicians with the information they need to make decisions. But this information is often one-sided, crafted to favor their clients. Another trick? Timing. Lobbyists know exactly when to strike, often when bills are still being drafted or right before a big vote. This is where the real influence happens. A study by the University of Chicago found that lobbyists are most active in the early stages of policymaking, when public attention is low, and deals are being shaped. Chapter 2: Money Talks, the power behind the dollars. There's no denying that money drives political lobbying. In 2021, the pharmaceutical industry alone spent over $350 million on lobbying efforts. That's more than any other industry. But it's not just about direct donations to campaigns. A lot of this influence happens through PACs, political action committees, and super PACs, which can raise unlimited amounts of money to support or oppose candidates. Lobbying also operates in the form of soft money. This is when money flows into campaigns or causes without being directly tied to a candidate. It's money that supports an idea or a policy. For instance, a corporation might donate to a non-profit that supports deregulation, knowing full well that this benefits their business. They don't need to say it out loud, it's implied. The real power move here is bundling. Lobbyists will often bundle donations from multiple sources, making it easier to max out donation limits and gain favor with a candidate. A quote from the book The Business of America is Lobbying explains it well. Bundlers are more than just donors, they're organizers of influence, acting as the intermediaries between money and political power. What makes this all more complex is the rise of dark money. Dark money groups don't have to disclose their donors, meaning corporations or wealthy individuals can secretly influence elections and policy. According to a study by the Brennan Center for Justice, more than $1 billion in dark money has flowed into federal elections since 2010. It's an invisible hand guiding political decisions. Chapter 3: The Revolving Door, from public office to private profit. The revolving door is one of lobbying's most powerful strategies, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Politicians and government officials often leave public office only to take up jobs in lobbying firms. A 2018 study by Public Citizen revealed that about half of all departing members of Congress became lobbyists or worked in industries tied to lobbying. Why does this matter? Because these former politicians know how the system works, they have contacts, understand policy intricacies, and know how to get things done. They leverage their insider knowledge to influence their former colleagues. It's all about access. A former senator doesn't have to make an appointment weeks in advance, they can call their old colleagues directly. That's power most of us will never have. But it doesn't stop there. Sometimes the revolving door swings the other way. Lobbyists or industry executives are appointed to key government positions where they can shape policies directly. In 2017, nearly two-thirds of top EPA appointees had ties to industries they were tasked with regulating, according to a report by the Environmental Integrity Project. The strategy here is simple: familiarity. If you've been part of the system, you know its weaknesses. Former government officials turned lobbyists can navigate the rules in a way outsiders simply can't. They also know when and where to apply pressure. It's a bit like knowing a secret back door to a building that others can't see. If you want to keep learning about the unseen forces in politics, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next chapters. Chapter 4: How Corporations Write Laws. You didn't know about it. One of the best kept secrets in politics is how corporations actually help write the laws that govern them. It sounds like something out of a conspiracy theory, but it's a well-documented fact. Corporations don't just influence policy, they sometimes draft it themselves. This practice happens through organizations like the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, a group that brings together corporate executives and lawmakers to craft, model, bills. These bills often end up becoming real laws. For example, between 2010 and 2018, ALEC helped push over 300 bills that were introduced in state legislatures. And here's the kicker: 20% of them passed, often with little debate. A ProPublica investigation showed that many legislators don't even change a word of these model bills, they introduce them as is, straight from the corporate playbook. Corporations benefit from this because they can draft laws that favor their business interests, while elected officials benefit by getting pre-written legislation without doing the work. It's a win-win, unless you're a regular voter. Many times, these bills are presented under the guise of public interest. For instance, a bill on tax reform might actually be designed to reduce taxes for big companies, while offering little to the average person. The strategy is subtle but effective: pre-packaged solutions. Corporations provide lawmakers with complex, ready-to-go policies that address issues they already care about. This speeds up the legislative process, but it also gives corporations a huge say in how those laws are written. As journalist Jane Mayer explains in Dark Money, corporations often control the script behind the scenes, writing laws that serve themselves first, with little public input. Chapter 5: Lobbying's Global Reach. Not just a US problem. When people think of lobbying, they often imagine it as a uniquely American issue. But lobbying is global, and its reach extends far beyond US borders. In fact, multinational corporations and foreign governments lobby the US just as much as domestic companies do. A Foreign Affairs report in 2019 revealed that foreign lobbying spending in the US had reached over $500 million annually, with countries like Saudi Arabia, Israel, and China being some of the biggest players. The reason for this is simple: US policies affect the entire world. Whether it's trade agreements, military aid, or international regulations, what happens in Washington impacts global markets and foreign governments. So, it makes sense that countries would want to influence these decisions. The strategy? Hire high-powered US lobbying firms to push their agenda. For example, after the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, Saudi Arabia ramped up its lobbying efforts to manage the fallout in Washington. According to The Guardian, they spent over $30 million on lobbying in 2018 alone, targeting both lawmakers and think tanks to shift the conversation. This wasn't just about protecting their image, it was about maintaining arms deals and political alliances. Corporations also play the global lobbying game. Big tech companies like Google and Facebook are major players in Brussels, where European Union regulations are decided. A 2021 study found that Google spent nearly $7 million lobbying the EU, making it one of the largest corporate lobbyists in Europe. They lobby to influence privacy laws, tax regulations, and competition rules, all of which have huge global implications for their businesses. The global reach of lobbying shows just how interconnected our world is. Whether it's US policies influencing other nations, or foreign governments trying to shape US law, lobbying has no borders. As The Economist puts it, lobbying has gone global, and the stakes are higher than ever. This makes understanding lobbying strategies more important because these are the forces shaping policies that affect millions of people around the world. In the end, the strategies behind global lobbying aren't all that different from domestic tactics: money, relationships, and influence. But when the stakes are international, the power dynamics shift, and the consequences can be far-reaching. If you found this exploration of lobbying eye-opening, don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the hidden forces shaping our world.